church and Christ and stuff was just part of my life. That's just how things went. I didn't know any different. And my faith is what it was because that's what my parents told me it was. And so I was just like, all right, cool, let's go with that. My dad was a youth pastor for 15 years. And I would always go to work with him and everything. Like, the church became my second home. And because he's a youth pastor, I remember counting down the days till I was a 7th grader so I could go to his youth group because I remember looking at all the big kids and being like, they're so cool. I'm going to be in the youth group with my dad with them. And they're cool. But the end of my 6th grade year, he got laid off. So he could no longer be my youth pastor, and my church no longer had a youth group. And Kirk Williams, who was the area director at the time for Young Life, invited me to Wildlife. So every other Friday, me and my best friend Hannah Milstead, we would go to LU for Wildlife, and it started to feel like something, part of my faith that was my own, like away from my parents. Sounds pretty cool. I could meet all the kids from other schools and play the funny games, but still hear about Jesus at the end. And that concept of getting to go somewhere and like have an amazing time, but still get to hear something about Jesus was like really cool to me because I had never experienced that before. And I've gone to Young Life Camp all 3 summers. And the summer going into my freshman year, I went to Creekside, and I don't think y'all have seen that video yet. And that's when my faith really started to be set apart from my parents, really, and my relationship with Jesus really started to click. I remember around the day we were leaving camp, I think it was the morning of, Kelsey brought us all, our Skagit group, and sat us in front of the putt-putt, like right in the middle of the mini putt-putt golf thing. And she talked to us about how a commitment with Christ and a relationship with him is really important. And so if we agreed to that and we understood what she was saying and that's what we wanted, we would stand up. And if we'd never done that before, say, I am starting a relationship and having a commitment with Christ. And if you haven't done that, but you feel like you haven't stuck with it, to say, I am recommitting my life to Christ. And when I stood up and said I was recommitting my life to Christ, I just felt like it's kind of made sense. Like I kind of finally started to get it. And throughout my freshman year, I was able to grow through that. And my faith became more of an individual thing, but I'd always been sort of jealous of people who had like those bam moments. Like you would hear people give like these amazing testimonies and you just like start bawling and you're like, I just want one of those bam moments. But I felt like my life was so easy growing up with my parents being so Christian oriented and whatever. And so I didn't really have a cool bam moment. But let me just tell you, be careful what you wish for. This last February, I went on a weekend retreat with my church that I go to, and I didn't really know anybody there. I didn't want to go. I was so mad that my parents were making me go because I didn't know anybody, and I did not want to go. But I'm grateful now I went. The speaker there talked about 2 things that really stuck with me more. One was an idea of a noose. All our life decisions are a rope, and each bad decision creates a knot, and it leads up to the point where you have a noose, and you're hanging yourself by your bad decisions. And so we need people in our lives to help us stop and untie the knot so that we're not hanging ourselves by our decisions. The other thing I really heard from her was that we tend to see how people say that God is the light at the end of the tunnel. But she says, no, God is the light in the tunnel. He is always with you. And we wonder, God, why me? Where are you in this? But he is in the tunnel. He is the light there with you all the time. That was good to think about. When I came home from that retreat, my dad told me that he decided he was going to leave our family. I heard to hear my best friend and the source of all things I knew were good in my life tell me that he didn't want to be a part of our family anymore. It made me think of the noose concept. I was watching my father hang myself from his own bad decisions. And my mom and siblings and I all had to suffer from that. I've had to watch my brother scream because he did not want to go to my dad's house. He wants to stay with me and my mom and my sister. He did not want to go there. I've had to watch my sister cry out of confusion. She's 10. She doesn't know what to think about it. and my mom is one of the strongest people I've ever met. She stays strong for us, and through her pain and confusion, she has never failed to be there for my siblings and me, and I'm so grateful for that. She has lived knowing that we can do all things through Christ because He is our strength. And as I see it, I could have dealt with this in two ways. I could have completely rebelled and forgot about God, or I could keep making my personal connection and know that God is the light in my dark tunnel, and that this is my dark tunnel, but God is the light there. So through my situation, I've gotten so much closer to God. I've been able to use it to help and relate with people. People I haven't even met have asked me for help and advice and stuff, and I've been able to help them see the true light in their tunnels, and I think that's really cool that I've been able to do that. My conveners group with Kelsey and the student leadership keeps me accountable for my actions and my relationship with Christ. Through these things, it's what helps my faith continue to grow. It grows more and more each day. I can just honestly feel myself getting closer throughout these few years. Not years, months, weeks. Yeah, never mind. I've been able to support my peers who are going through the same things and introduce them and remind them of Jesus' love. I hope to sometime, through student leadership, have my own group of, lead a group of 7th grade girls or whatever, middle school girls, and be able to share God's love with them and be able to be a support system for them as well. Because I feel like that's something I'm able to do and I can pass on and share. If I hadn't had Young Life, I don't think my relationship with Christ would have ever gone deeper than that surface level. It's what my parents said. I'm going to go with that. So Young Life has helped me relate to Christ in a more personal and relevant way. In all the different things that Young Life has gotten me involved in, such as campaigners and student leadership and things like this, I have made awesome new friends with people who encourage my faith and keep me accountable. I've had every opportunity to get lost and turn away from the light of Jesus, but remembering that God is the light in the dark and having the resources to stay connected with that have made all the difference.